So we've got this data set called Sales 2017. So it's a sales data. And we're just going to quickly try and understand it. And in understanding it, we can see we just look through each of the columns. The first one, we've got the order ID, so that tells us some order has been placed. Then the customer ID, so some customers are involved. Some salesperson also involved, that's their name there. We've got the order dates, the ship dates, the priority of the order, there's some code. The quantities that were ordered, the unit sale price, discount, the amount for shipping, and the mode, the ship mode container. So we've got these data sets. In one sentence, who can try and summarize what they think this data set is about? In one sentence. Please, let's mute if you are not talking. Please mute.
Debbie, I think it's more to do with maybe like wrapping materials for sending out stuff. If I'm wrong, I think because I can see express a large box and the salesperson involved.
Now. I think it's
Sister Debbie, could you make me a co-host, please, so that I can mute these people?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's an order database that involves customer order. I mean, this is a database containing customer order, including the salesperson that dealt with the order.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a customer order database, basically.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It's a customer order database because it just gives us information about some orders that were placed by some customers. You know, we don't have much around the products except for the codes here, you know. So thanks to that person who just spoke. And I believe that Olatoks made an attempt earlier. So I appreciate that that attempt. So we can see orders were created or placed by some customers, and some salespersons sold those orders to them. We can see the dates of 2017 mostly at the moment, ship dates being there as well, the priority of each order, you know, the ship mode is included. We see prices for and the quantities, you know, that were placed, the unit sale, that is the price of one quantity of whatever it is that was ordered, and the discount that was placed as well. At the moment, so we understand. We understand.
Looks like you got something on your calendar.
We are, please, a quick housekeeping. Can you please make sure you mute if you are not talking, because it distracts. So we know we are working with sales order data set. Okay. I don't have a ready business requirement that we are going to be working with just yet, but we will coin something out that we can work with. The first thing I want to do, because at the moment, this data set is just in range. That is, all we have are just rows and columns of data. Okay, I love to work in table, so I'm going to convert this range of data to table because it just works easier. It works better when you're working in table rather than working in ranges. You know, at the moment we just have cell ranges, order ID being from cell A to, you know, to A. Let's see how many rows of data we even have. And I'm just pressing Control Shift down to get to the last data there. For anyone who is making notes, Control Shift down will get you to the last row of data where the data is uninterrupted. So we've got about a little over 2,000 rows here. Control Shift up arrow to go back up, you know. So I'll change this to a table, and we can do that by ensuring that we choose somewhere. You've got your cursor placed in something, choose one of the cells within which within the data you are working with. Then we go into insert. So I'm going to hide this. So we go beside home. I'm going to insert, insert. And under insert, we've got pivot table. We've got recommended pivot tables table. What I want is table. Okay, there's a shortcut for it, and that will be Control T. And whilst I'm placing my cursor on here, we can see that dialog box telling us table equals Control T. So it works well. It makes you work more efficiently if you know how to use the shortcuts, the keyboard shortcuts. So you can easily just, quickly press Control T together on your keyboard, and it just makes the work faster for you. But we can start off with knowing where all these functions are placed. Insert, which is just beside home. Home is where you have, all these ribbons, which we would use at different points of the different data sets that we work with. But next to that is insert. And next to that is page layout, a lot to do with your orientation, if I don't want any grid lines, any of these lines here to show, I just click that and I have a blank, no lines through my data set, So that's how that works. I think we should do a bit of introduction to different buttons on here before we jump into the data itself. So from file, we can get into options and look through different, under general, we've got user interface, and there's different selections that you can choose. The ones I have ticked are the ones I currently use, so you can customize your Excel into what works for you, for the kind of work that you do. I want it to show mini toolbars on selection. I want it to show quick analysis options on selection. I want it to show convert to data types when typing, So it's good to look through all these features here and see what you want to select or what you want to unselect. And then we have the formulas, There's something called the R1C1 reference style. It's a kind of advanced Excel that we'll get into at some point. Workbook calculation options. So mine is on automatic. Maybe you prefer automatic except for data tables. Maybe you prefer manual, whatever works for you. Formula, I want you to autocomplete. So that is ticked. Use table names in formulas. Use get pivot data. But when we start working more with the pivot data, we'll know what that is. Suggest formula variations, So different things which is worth looking at, It's sort of some kind of back end that people don't really pay attention to. But it's good to pay attention to this because it could affect how your workbook works, And so if something is not working right, you would know where to look and how to quickly fix that up, for yourself. Under data, we have all these functions as well. If you want to disable or do for large pivot table refresh options to reduce refresh time, So it's good to come in here and have a look, Proofing, save language for if you want another language outside English, accessibility, advanced, So it's good to research into most of these customized ribbon Some people will customize, this is where our ribbon is. Some people would customize what is showing on the ribbons according to what they use more. So it is what they use more of that they will come here to pick and have here, so that, you know, it doesn't make sense to have what you don't use. Is the thinking behind that. Quick access toolbar, which we will talk about at some point, you know, some add-ins. This is where if you want add-ins like Power Pivot, Power Query, and stuff like that, other Power Map, you know, if you want them to be enabled in your workbook, you can always get it. They're called add-ins. You can pick them from here and add them on to you, because sometimes it's not automatically picked for you. You just come here and activate that being added to the list of what you have access to. And then Trust Center, I've not really used it, but it's got to do with security. So it's good to come into, you know, into the file and check what you can use or do. If you want to password, come under info, if you want to password your workbook such that only the person who has the password would be able to access the workbook. This is where you come to do that. If you want to check for issues in the workbook, if somebody has changed the version and you want to look at the version history, how many times it's been changed, different times that it's been changed or modified, by whom, you will easily see there. So we can see that I modified this at 10, then at 5:29, 5:36, 5:40. So it's quite transparent. It shows you quite a lot. So it's good to browser view options. I've not used this before, but yeah, have a play with it and see what you can learn, you know, from it. Under home, I think I must have pressed something because now my ribbons are all grayed out. Current version, okay, I picked a different version. Let me see. Let's go back into info. Check for issues, manage workbook, browse, view options, manage workbook, recover unsaved work. Is that what I should be doing? Check for issues. No, not this. Okay, I'm just going to unshare quickly and reopen that because I don't want that to waste our time. Apologies for that. Okay. All right. So I will share again now that that has been reopened. All right, so I hope I'm still recording. So without wasting any more time on the ribbons, I mean, it's good to know how everything works well, you know, but we can't really delve into too much of because there's quite a lot on the ribbons, massively a lot. Some we won't really need to use, but there are some that we'll constantly need and for analysis. Being able to convert your range, which is what we have now, into table, which was what I was about to do, is a must to know how to do. And we said Control-T will do it, or we come under Insert and click on Table. Okay. Now this dialog box opens and it's asking, it's saying Create Table. It's asking, do we want to create table? Because there's a question mark there. Where is the data for your table? Now it's detected it automatically, but if it hadn't detected, and you can see this dancing dotted lines around the whole data set, if it was not able to detect it, we would just have needed to come here and pick, where that table is. But we don't need to do that. It's picked it here. And the other thing is asking, my table has header. Okay. So because this table has got headers, column headers already, order ID, customer ID, salesperson, and all of that, they are all headers. So it's necessary to tick this. If those were not headers, if this table has not got headers, then we would not need to tick this. Okay. So I'm going to OK that. And now we have a working table. Okay. And whilst I'm in the table, we can see an addition up here on the ribbon. Says table design. That's how we know that we are working with the table, And if you don't like this color, you can always pick a different design, that you want to work with. There's quite a lot that we can, pick from. So it's your choice, as well as the choice of the work, the business that you are working with as well. One thing I should have mentioned earlier before we started actually, bad practice. So best practice is, before you even start to change anything within the table, it's always good to make a copy of the data, just in case anything goes wrong and you did something wrong. You would have a backup. Okay. So at the moment, I didn't do that. And because I did not do that, if anything goes wrong and I've, deleted a lot of things, say peradventure I've deleted a lot of things, where would I get the copy or the sales data to start afresh? Okay. So best practice would have been for me to make a copy first before tampering with anything at all, just so we note that. So that was a mistake that shouldn't have been made. But now we are within a table, and there's quite a lot of things we can do. Okay, so table design. Under table design, what options is it giving me? It's telling me I can change the name of the table. At the moment, it's seeing it as table 2. If there's a name I want to give it, I've got a name already in mind, I can always change the name from table 2. Table 2 is too generic, to something more fun to work with, Maybe I can call it sales table. Okay. So if I decide to name that sales, and I'm about to put space, so sales table, and I want to enter that. But see what happens. It says the syntax of this table isn't correct. It doesn't want me to put that space. So in putting names within here, I can't leave a space there. So it's suggesting for me to put an underscore, which is what I'm going to do, or write those two words together. Okay. So I'll say sales table, and I'll, enter that, and it's accepted the table name as sales table. So anytime it's making reference to this table, it's going to call it sales table. So another thing I've not mentioned is we are working within just one table. It's not like we've got many tables here to try and refer to each other. Okay, like some examples that we've seen before in our previous classes. This is just a single table data set. And this single table data set is called a single entity data set. Remember that entity and table can be used interchangeably. So if I'm calling something an entity, it's also the table. Okay, so it's a single entity data set. It's not like the multi-entity data set where we've got different tables. We've got the others table, then another table for customers database, another table for salesperson, another table for maybe the products. That's not the case here. And that's because I want us to start quite simple. and then build up to the multi-entity data set type of data. Okay, so this is the single entity data set that we are currently having. Another beauty of working within a table is that if there is an additional data, say this is our data source and another order was ordered or made, so we generate another order. Immediately that comes on here as the next row, this table automatically gets expanded, you know. So that's one of the advantages or one of the advantages of working within table. Okay, it automatically expands as you increase the amount of data, you know, that you add on, and immediately it expands. Whatever work you have done is also carried along. Any questions? So we haven't really done much, but it's good to explain the basics. Any question before we do some form of analysis?
Okay, sorry, this is my first time.
Okay.
Yeah. So if can't you work on the data without moving it to a table, maybe from the original data sets? Can we just move it to a pivot table directly, or we must move it to a table first before moving it to a pivot table?
That's a very good question. You know, you can actually move it to a pivot table from that range, even when it's not within a table. You can.
Right.
Okay, but the disadvantage of that is what I just explained now, which is if we hadn't converted this to a table now, and let's say tomorrow we generate 10 more orders.
Yes.
So your pivot table may not easily pick it up because that table was, that data set we had was in a range.
Okay.
But if you had converted it into a table, any more order that comes here, your pivot table just needs a refresh click. You click refresh and it automatically picks it up.
Okay.
So table seems to communicate better with your pivot table for new updates, better than the range. So we are always advised to convert to table. Even most formulas work really well or more efficiently within a table context rather than within a range context.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
Okay. And you know, the concept of primary key, secondary key that we have learned before, and fact table, dimension table, it doesn't apply here because we are working with just one table anyway. It's just one table data set, a single entity data set. Okay, so we are going to need to ignore that until we get to when we start our relational database, where we have different tables that are relating to one another, and we can, you know, apply those terms. Okay. Now that again, can you observe that the table is grayed out because we are already in a table? Well, that is grayed out, but now we have table design where we can, you know, use different options under that table designs. You can straight away, you can insert slicer, which is a way to refresh, a way to filter through your table. Okay, but I'm not going to do that here, you know, but there's quite a lot that you can do, you know, within your table design. Let's then say, okay, I don't want this table again. I want to convert back to the range. Again, it is possible, okay? Under your table design, there's something here where we say convert to range. So if I click on convert to range, it's asking me now, the dialog box, do you want to convert the table to a normal range? If I say yes, so this is no longer a table. I mean, no, the color is there because we changed the color design to this, but it's just the color that makes it look like a table. This is no longer a table. It's back to the range that we started with, color aside now. And whilst I'm inside it, we can see that the table design option here has disappeared. So you can easily convert between your table design, between your table and your range very easily. And if I want to get back this back to table, I just do that or use Control-T and I get my table back. Okay, that's just the foundation. And again, about 25 minutes has gone without us starting any analysis yet, but that's fine. We've got tomorrow, we've got the rest of the week to quickly complete. We make sure we complete this particular project within the week that we are in, so that we can start something new by another teacher next week. It's just 4 minutes more to the end of class. Do we have any further questions from this point?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Is it possible to share this data with us so that we can play around with it while we prepare for tomorrow's class?
Yes, it is possible. We are going to get it.
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am.
You are very welcome.